Celebration Retirement Estate is situated in the heart of Johannesburg's northern suburbs, on what once was a humble peach farm. Only 35 minutes from Lanseria Airport, our location is perfect for those who enjoy a lifestyle of convenience and tranquility. With easy access to all major routes, including the N1 and N14 highways, traveling to and from destinations cannot get much better than this. At Celebration Retirement Estate, your well-being and security is our number one priority. Our guardhouse is supported by CCTV camera systems, and well-trained security personnel ensures a high level of security at all times. Daily visitor access is managed through traffic boom gates, spike barriers, and license verification, whilst 24-hour patrolled security maintains a safe environment both inside and on the perimeter of the estate. State-of-the-art healthcare facilities offer full care and support for our residents. This includes a frail care facility, home-based care options, and doctors' consulting rooms. Residents have 24-hour access to care services, and panic and emergency button response allows us to respond within minutes to any healthcare emergency.
I mean, we asked, can you really go, where like everything is at your doorstep?
Convenience extends beyond safety and care services into the heartbeat of the estate, our lifestyle centre. From the exquisite dining room and coffee shop to the beauty salon and library, your entertainment options are endless. Our extensive facilities make living an active lifestyle fun and interactive. Enjoy the heated indoor swimming pool or attend a yoga class in the recreation hall. For those who prefer the outdoors and being immersed in nature, the green walkway is perfect for an afternoon stroll. Sustainability and respect for the environment is a key aspect of our lifestyle. Celebration Retirement Estate is the first retirement estate in Gauteng registered for EDGE certification by the GBCSA. To comply with these requirements, all houses on the estate are constructed and equipped with environmentally friendly and energy-saving technology. Our luxurious houses have a wide variety of floor plans to choose from, with a private garden attached, whilst the north-facing apartments have equally stunning views of the surrounding landscapes.
Oh, the view, I've got the beautiful view of the Magaliesberg Range.
I've made so many friends in the people in the houses here, it's unbelievable.
By choosing our retirement lifestyle, you become part of a community of like-minded people who celebrate their silver years together. There will always be someone to assist with your needs and to offer a helping hand, whether it is your neighbour, a friend, or one of our caregivers. Invest in your happiness by choosing us as your retirement partner.
Yeah, I would recommend it for anybody if they can do it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very, very much for joining us once again for another webinar. If you have missed the previous webinar that we had in last month, we will give you the opportunity. We will post a link at the end of this webinar that you would be able to go and have a view and go and have a look at the previous webinar we did as well, which was specifically a bit more focused on the investment side of property and specifically then focused on that secret of the investment side of retirement property specifically. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We see that the attendance is very good and there's still people joining on. So I think for the time being, let us know in the chat box, where are you from? Where are you streaming this from? Let's have a look-see. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be posing quite a few questions. It's all going to be about when is the right time to start planning for your retirement? How should you start planning for your retirement? What is the important aspects? It will be a lot of questions that we will be posing to you, but it's not questions that myself or my colleagues or we can answer necessarily. A lot of these questions that we are going to be posing to you is going to be questions that you need to have a bit of introspect with and that you need to answer yourself, that you need to think about. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that tonight there is going to be some insight for you, things that you might not have thought about, and I hope that it's going to be an eye-opener in a big sense. So what we what we will essentially discuss tonight through the slideshow, I would like to ask you to please, if you can, you're welcome to post some questions throughout the slideshow, but we are not going to answer those questions throughout. We are going to wait until the end, but otherwise, please keep the questions to the end. We will allow an opportunity as well for your questions to be answered. Thank you very much. I see we've got Mr. Devos there from Krugersdorp in the West Rand. Welcome very much. Let's have a look-see from the other people who's joined in as well. Johanna Marianne, Alberton, nice to see you guys. New and so our first question, that's great. And new developments in the near future in the Alberton region. Johan Marianne, unfortunately from our side, no. You will see now as we start the presentation as well, we are one of the largest retirement residential developers probably in Gauteng, especially when it comes to sectional title, full ownership sort of retirement estates. And we will touch a bit on those things. There are so much information and so many things that we can actually talk about when it comes to choosing the right retirement property. You know, and it's one of those things that you should have discussions about. It's one of those things that you should talk to your friends and family about. It should be one of those things that you need to talk about around the campfires, because it's one of those things that's inevitable. You know, as we say, it's getting older is inevitable. It's like, you know, getting born, going to school. There's a lot of things that are inevitable in your life, and retirement village or retiring per se is just, you know, another one of those aspects. So unfortunately, in the south of Joburg, in Alberton, we don't have any opportunities coming up in the short term, but you never know. In the future, anything could change. But we will share with you an opportunity that we are busy with currently. If you haven't heard about that opportunity yet, you know, it's part and parcel of the presentation. This presentation is not just to give you guys a lot of information. It's not just to share all of our knowledge. It's not just to highlight the important things when it comes to retirement. It's about also bringing options and solutions to the table for you to explore. You know, nothing prevents you to just explore the opportunities, make up your own mind. At least you've said, listen, I've been there, I've seen it, I've spoken to the experts, I know what it's about. Whether it is for you, whether it's not for you, whether you're going to wait for the next opportunity, it's just extremely important that the opportunities are explored. And you will see in some of the statistics and things that we are going to discuss as well, it is quite frightening on how many people have not made proper provision for their retirement in South Africa specifically. So we don't even realize how big of a lack in retirement opportunities we have in South Africa. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. People will be joining as we're going, but we will be sharing a link with you at the end as well. So when we get to the end and when we've run through a couple of questions, we will answer a couple of questions. We'll probably not get through all of the questions if there is a lot, but we are going to offer an opportunity where we will send out a link at the end of the presentation where you can click on, and you would be able to book a follow-up appointment with myself, with one of my colleagues at Central Developments, at Celebration specifically, where we can talk a bit about retirement. We don't have to talk about the development as such if you don't want to. We are there to also give you a bit of advice, a bit of guidance, a bit of experience, a bit of the investment side of it. Myself and my colleagues also on the site are not just from a point of view from the developer, where we develop retirement property and you know, we deliver a good service and a good product and everything, and then we walk away. We are also there educating a lot of our investors. I can see a lot of familiar names here tonight as well of my previous investors who are also on the webinar, and we've helped a lot of investors to realize that retirement property is actually the only and the best go-to type of retirement property that you can invest in. And ladies and gentlemen, go and have a look at the first webinar that we had. It's only an hour long, but I can tell you and I promise you, it will be an eye-opener if you're a property investor and you are looking at a generational sort of property investment, something that will work for you as an investment, for yourself one day, maybe for your parents firstly, then for you, then for your children, your grandchildren. This is a sort of generational thing. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it and let's go and have a look at what everything is all about in this presentation. All right, so let's have a look at what we are all about. So firstly, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce myself. So my name is Charles van Niekerk, and I am with the Central Developments Property Group. I live in Gauteng. I've been living in Gauteng my whole life. I'm from Centurion, married with 2 beautiful children. And the story of my life is I've graduated in 2006, so turning 40 next year. And I did my degree in marketing from just when the old Technikon Pretoria turned into TUT. I started my property career right after my studies with Central Developments in 2007, and I invested in my first retirement property when I was 34. So before that, I invested in normal property. I had the opportunity to obviously be in the property industry. I invested in a lot of property. It opened up a lot of doors for me. And it's going to open up a lot of doors for me in the future still as well, especially with my children and excuse me, and their education and those type of things as well. But during the past 12 years, I've been involved with 6 of the 13 retirement estates that we have developed. So ladies and gentlemen, I told you in the beginning, we are one of the biggest retirement developers in Gauteng, and this is where we specialize. So between Joburg and Pretoria is where the specialization in our retirement estates are. And out of the 13 retirement estates, we literally are only actively busy with 2 retirement estates. So currently the one in Waterkloof, Marina and Pretoria, and then the one that we are doing in the north of Joburg called Celebration. But overall, I've been responsible with more than 2,000 sales within the company. I'm an overall property enthusiast, an entrepreneur, and an investor, and a freelance photographer. I love photography. I love traveling, and I love to, take the pictures of things that, a lot of people don't always necessarily have the chance to take a picture of. So who is Central Developments? A lot of you know who we are. A lot of you have done business with us in the past. A lot of you who are on the webinar are very, very familiar with us and our business, and walked a journey with us for many, many years. So we've been in business since 2002. We specialize on rental complexes, retirement lifestyle estates, normal secure lifestyle developments, and you guys will see in the presentation, I do a bit of a comparison between the two as well. Service stands, storage facilities, and our head office is based in Midrand. We've developed more than 31,000 units to date, and 7,000 of those units are retirement estate units. So ladies and gentlemen, we have been around the block, and we've got so many stories. When we launched, just a quick one maybe, when we launched our very first retirement estate in 2008 in Pretoria, we could write a book as long as my arm of people who came to us very skeptical. We don't understand the retirement concept really. Are you guys going to do what you promise you're going to do? Are you going to build a lifestyle center? Are you going to build a frail care? Is it going to be there? Are you going to steal our money? You developers just run away with everybody's cash. We've had so many different stories from people, and it made our startup quite difficult. And then we launched our second retirement estate in Johannesburg, which was our first one in Joburg then, which I was involved with myself, in Douglasdale and Bryanston. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a challenge all on its own, to that extent that we actually had to load people, transport people in a minibus twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday from Douglasdale to Pretoria and Montana, where we did our first one, to show people that, we are not just saying we're going to do it. Here it is, real life. And ladies and gentlemen, now it's been 14 years later, and we have delivered more than 7,000 retirement units. We are one of the most experienced developers in retirement property that there is. The group rental portfolio, over 5,000 units that we're offering, high quality rental products. So we're not only developing to sell, we're also developing in order to rent out and service the rental market per se, over and above the service that we're offering to our investors. So when we do sell to investors, we also offer that service to them to find tenants and manage it for them. All right, so covered a bit of the basics just to give a bit of background. So I want to go into I want to become a bit more philosophical. All right, so let's have a look. So what does the word retirement mean? So I went and I know what the word retirement means. I've been in the industry for a long time. But then I thought, let me go back and let's go and simplify things. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, they say it's the act or the fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. All right, quite straightforward. Nothing to it. Excuse me. Then if you go one step further, according to Wikipedia, retirement is the withdrawal from one's position or occupation or from one's active working life. A person may also semi-retire by reducing working hours or workload. That's quite important to where we are getting to now as well. Many people choose to retire when they are old or incapable of doing their job due to health reasons. A very important another fact that we are going to touch on. People may also retire when they are eligible for private or public pension benefits, although some are forced to retire when bodily conditions no longer allow the person to work any longer. So by illness or by accident, and that's also a very important thing, that accident factor is that unforeseen circumstances. So it's part of the things that, you know, it's things in your life you need to mitigate. It's things in your life that you need to plan for. It's that unforeseen things, or as a result of legislation concerning their positions. All right. And then I went one step further and then I asked, so what is the purpose of retirement planning? And this, ladies and gentlemen, was quite interesting. So retirement, in a general sense, is the time of life when you no longer need to work to live comfortably. All right. And can rely on savings or a passive forms of income to fund your lifestyle. Retirement and the term financial independence are often used interchangeably, and that's according to Google. So everybody's perception about retirement is different, but now there's actually two aspects when it comes to retirement. So when it comes to retirement, it's your living expenses, being able to be financially free. How can you still live the same sort of lifestyle? People are living longer. So if you do retire at the normal South African required age of 65, a lot of people would like to retire, I'm sure, a lot earlier and start traveling and all those type of things. But, you know, can you afford a traveling lifestyle for the next 20, 25, 30 years, you know, as people are living longer? And you might be, and COVID has also shown that to us. COVID is, you know, with all of the negatives and the heartache and everything that COVID brought, it also opened up our eyes in a lot of aspects. And the one thing that COVID opened up our eyes to is the fact that things can change in a blink of an eye. Whether it is with regards to your financial position, with regards to your income, with regards to your livelihood, life can change drastically. And that's what makes it so important, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you don't cover only the financial aspect when you planning retirement. You know, what's my passive income going to be? How am I going to get a passive income? Is my passive income going to come from a pension fund? Is my passive income going to come from rental income from all of the properties I've accumulated over my lifetime? Is it going to be from my company? Maybe you've established a very successful company and, you know, you can sit back and earn an income still from that. How many people are actually in that fortunate position? So that's the one element that you need to cater for when it comes to the retirement side. And then the second thing is going to be, where are you going to retire? So a lot of my clients have got the aspiration that they would like to retire at the coast. They don't want to retire in Gauteng. They don't want to retire in whichever province you feel comfortable with. But at the end of the day, when you do get to retirement, as life changes, aspirational changes, kids' situation changes, grandkids' situation changes. I've got so many clients who moved to the coast to go and retire. They bought a place down at the coast to be able to open the doors every day and look at the ocean and, you know, have that breeze and do the maintenance every year of their coastal properties and so forth. But what happened to life? Life changed as well. And they had to, I've got so many clients who relocated back to Joburg or back to Gauteng. Why? Because the kids are here, the grandkids are here, everybody is here. And people can't afford to fly up and down again every month, having the grandparents see the grandchildren. Life changes. So what we are saying is that make provision to make sure that if you plan on doing something way down in the future, start making provision for it right now already. If that provision's changes in the future, you've already made provision for it long ago, and it's much easier from a financial aspect to maybe change your situation then. You can always sell the property. If you bought a property now in Gauteng, let's say you think you're going to be retiring in Gauteng. That's maybe your initial idea of thinking, because the kids are here and the grandkids are here and all those type of things. And we've seen that as well. So maybe you plan on retiring here in Gauteng. Now you buy a retirement property because you love the estate. You make sure you get in early. You pay the price of now, not in the future. And you maybe intend to move in much later in your life. And then much later in your life, the kids all of a sudden goes over to overseas. Now, as soon as the kids are overseas, that aspect of having, you know, the kids close by and not being able to retire at the coast also disappears. So now you can go and retire at the coast, but because you bought a property so long in advance, now your situation's changed. You can sell the property that you've got, you make a good profit on it and go and buy that property at the coast. But if you decide to only buy the property at the coast when you want to go and retire, it might have a big financial implication on your pocket. Not might, it will definitely have. All right, so let's quickly have a look at a few statistics. So how crucial is the planning for retirement? So 67% of people do not have any form of retirement plan. 77% of people accept that they will need to continue earning an income after retirement. So that goes back to the beginning, where that definition actually told us that you can semi-retire, you know, and still continue a bit working. Excuse me, continue working a bit so that you still generate a bit of an income. 53% of people do not know how much their pension is actually worth. So they've started investing. Somebody sold them a pension plan or an investment plan or a provident fund or whatever the case might be, but they don't actually know what is it worth. Is it worth enough by the time that I actually retire? How much is R1 million worth today, which is not even much anymore as well, but how much is it going to be worth in 5 or 10 years from now? How much is R5 million going to be worth? What is living conditions and life expectancy going to be going forward? How long will you be living? Will your savings be enough? 62% of people lack the trust, the confidence, and the knowledge when it comes to investing their money. 72% of people are concerned that they will not have enough money saved for their retirement. All right. And that goes almost hand in hand with the 53% of people that doesn't know how much their pension is actually worth. And here's the most shocking statistic, ladies and gentlemen. 6% of people in South Africa can afford to retire carefree. So what does that mean? It means that they've made provision for where they would like to retire. So preferably the property where they want to retire is paid off. They don't have a bond repayment on 65 still of 20,000 Rand a month, 15,000 Rand a month, whatever the case might be. They bought the property early for the intention, had a tenant help them pay it off, paid it off, and now they can go and retire financially free in their retirement unit. But then the other side of it is your pension, your permanent income. So have you invested in property? How many properties have you got that is now also paid off, that's generating this positive income for you? How big is the pension fund? What's the provision that you made during your lifetime to make sure that now you've sorted out your retirement property? Now you need to think about the monthly expenses. So think about medical aid, ladies and gentlemen, because preferably by the time that you retire, your car is paid off, you know that you've got, your house is paid off that you're going to be living in. And now you want to sit back, you want to travel, you want to relax, you want to enjoy life for the next 20, how many ever years going into retirement. So now you need to think about medical aid. You're still going to have medical aid. If your medical aid currently is 10,000 Rand a month, maybe, and it's a good medical aid, what is it going to be in 30 years from now? If you are 35 now and you are paying a medical aid of let's call it 5,000 Rand a month, in 30 years from now, what is the medical aid for you going to be? What is the medical aid going to be for you and your wife if you're a couple that still moves into your retirement phase? Those are the things that you need to think about. What is your plan for income by the time of retirement? So let's have a look at the important characteristics that you need to consider when it comes to retirement estates specifically. Okay, so we are focusing on the property element of retirement. So let's look at the characteristics. So a lot of people don't know what are the things to look out for. What are the pitfalls? What are the questions that I need to ask? When I do go and view a potential retirement property, whether it is for investment, whether it is for own use later on, a buy now, occupy later type of situation, those are different conversations that we have with our clients depending on what their short, medium, and long-term needs are. So these are all important elements to know and consider and talk about. So the big thing about retirement estates is it focuses on a very niche market segment. All right, locality, proximity, and other surrounding amenities and attractions are very important. Okay, you can't be out there in the bush away from everything, and the development doesn't offer any on-site facilities or sufficient on-site facilities, because then what's the purpose of moving there for retirement? Future availability of retirement estates, a very, very big factor, ladies and gentlemen. Just go and think for yourself. If you go into Property 24 right now and you go and look for a 2-bedroom townhouse in a specific area, you are spoiled for choice. There's options for pages. When you go into Property 24 or you go and Google retirement properties for sale or availability of retirement properties in a certain area, chances are that you might find 0 results, depending on which area you're searching for. Chances are that the options that you will be finding is not in the area that you were looking for, but the closest one is about 30 kilometers away or 20 kilometers away, whatever the case may be. So availability of retirement estates in the future is going to become even a bigger problem. And what happens with a shortage of something? Supply and demand comes into play. When something is high in demand and it's very scarce, very low in supply, prices just keeps on increasing. Old age homes versus retirement estates, what are the differences? Excuse me. Asset value of the property as the asset value as a property investment, as the retirement estates, what is that asset value? So there we are looking at things like quality of tenant. It outweighs entirely the normal lifestyle residential estates. A stable rental income. That tenant that moves into your property doesn't want to move again. So you've got long-term tenants, you've got a stable income. Future use capabilities for yourself. It's not just an investment, it's got future use capabilities. The convenience and the useful on-site amenities, very important. Doesn't help you to move into a place which is for over 50s or over 60s or over 55s or whatever the case might be, but it doesn't have the right amenities on site, and we will talk about that a bit later as well. So the invest now, occupy later element, if you change your mind, you could sell it as a profit. And I mentioned it a bit earlier. You might plan on retiring in Joburg. Later on, the opportunity arises for you to actually go and retire at the coast or in a different province or overseas for that matter, and you move to your children. You can sell this property at least for a big profit and take that over to assist you with the next sale. So I always say, rather have it and not need it than not having it and actually needing it. All right. Valuable generational asset. I mentioned it before as well. It can be surpassed and passed on to family, kids, grandkids. The type of ownership, life rights versus full ownership. I saw briefly that there was a question from a gentleman. I think it was a gentleman that asked that he specifically wants to know about the differences between the life rights and the full ownership. So we are not going to be going into it in this webinar. We will have follow-up webinars in the future where we will tackle a bit more of these things. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, I can keep you busy for hours and hours, but the purpose of tonight's webinar is short, powerful presentation to tell you, ask a couple of questions, put some questions out there, make you think, and come back to us. Use that link, use this opportunity. This is a very unique opportunity. Get in touch with us so that we can talk about this. We can talk about this then on a private session, no problem, as long as you want. Give you the differences, tell you the pitfalls, the pros, the cons, all those type of things. Sectional title versus full title. What are the benefits? Especially, again, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about retirement estates. So whatever works for you right now might not work for you in the future. Scale advantage are one of the things in sectional title developments, which is one of our biggest plus points when it comes to retirement estates. The retirement estates we develop is not small. And then people think, no, I don't want to move into such a big development. But when it comes to the retirement estate side, you're comparing apples with oranges. It's not the same moving into a big security estate with 500 units where there's families living there, moving into a retirement estate where there's 500 units and it's, retirees, single people, couples, that's who's living there. The whole dynamic changes. So a lot of things that you need to think of and actually be aware of. The cost of buying into the retirement estate. Now, this is a question we get a lot. So there's the initial startup costs, which will be for buying into the development, the levies and all of the other costs that you would like to know about is declared for you up front and you know what you're in for. And the nice thing about it is, if you buy into an estate which is already operational, a lot of the uncertainties and doubts have already been dealt with and addressed, typically like at celebration. But the buying in cost is a question we get a lot and which we love to discuss with our clients to ease their mind with that uncertainty. So the importance of securing your retirement home sooner rather than later, we talked about that. Scale advantage, very important. Reserve fund versus special levies. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people haven't thought about, or it's something that people have recently experienced. As a great example, one of my investments in Pretoria East, I've literally received an email a day ago, yesterday, to say that there's going to be a special levy incurred because of the fact that the municipality has increased the security deposit on bulk services and water and all those type of things. So, I need to pay an additional 700 odd rand as a special levy next month for those changes. So what happens when there's a bit of a reserve fund? What happens when additions needs to be done? So reserve fund versus special levy is a very important thing that we can talk about actually at the end of the day. Annual increases, scale advantage plays an important role there. The type of development plays an important role there. How well the managing agent actually, how experienced is the managing agent in running that sort of development? Can they effectively increase the budget? To give you an idea, celebration, the first development or the first phase or the first village have started occupation back in 2018. It is a very big development and you'll see it as some of the images as well. But this year, we've already got notification. So my investment unit that I've got there with my tenant, I've got a notification that the levies will only be increasing for the next financial year with 4.7%. So that's amazing. I love it because scale advantage is playing a role there. The managing agent is managing it well, etc. And the risk of outliving your savings pension fund, mitigate that risk. And then the last thing, offering a balanced lifestyle for retirees. That's a very important thing. It brings everything basically together when it comes to the right property, selecting the place where you want to retire. People live for longer. You want an active lifestyle. It must be secure. It must be safe. There must be that peace of mind element. And the important thing is you are living with a lot of like-minded people. You're living with a community of people of the same ages, people that shares the same sort of background. And that's a nice thing to share as well. The importance of securing your retirement property early. So by means of an example, I thought, let me bring it home. We've got a lot of people on the webinar here, which is, looking at the retirement thing. We've got a lot of people that's on the webinar that's already going into the retirement side or whatever the case. So I thought, let me bring it back to something where I think most people can resonate. So when you plan for your children's tertiary studies, all right, you don't start planning for that a year before the time, especially not financially. So effectively, you start thinking about it already when your kids goes to high school and starting grade 8, almost saying standard 6, giving my age away again. But going to grade 8, going to grade 9, here in grade 10, you need to start making serious decisions. You know, what do you want to go and study? Where's your interest? All those type of things. Focusing on your grades, focusing on your studies, focusing on where's that money going to come from. So now, if your child tells you, listen, I want to go and study something very more high end, I want to go for my LLB, I want to go for a lawyer, I want to be a CA, I want to be a doctor, an architect, or whatever the case might be, something maybe a bit more professional that requires, you know, a lot more capital investment. How long ago did you start thinking about the financial aspect of that? Did you start something when they were born already? Did you start mitigating that because you know it's inevitable, it's going to happen? It's that inevitable factor, they're going to go. That's what your aspiration is. You want to send them to tertiary education. So when have you started putting some money away? When have you started investing in something that can help you by that time? So the other things that you would have thought about is that you aren't guaranteed that your child will get into the university of your choice. It depends on a lot of things. So what's the grades, the courses that they offer, the financial, the enrollment time, are you the accommodation, transport, do you need to buy a car? Are they going to be taking public transport? Are they going to live? Do you need to look at student accommodation? All those things you need to think about effectively. So by a simple example, retirement is no different. Retirement is no different. You don't start thinking about where you're going to retire when you are 60 or a year before you start retiring. You don't think about what is my pension income going to be a year before you retire. You start thinking about that long ago. Somebody will probably have tried to sold you a retirement annuity or a pension plan or some sort of policy for your pension someday, way back when you're already in your 20s or your 30s. Why? Because that's how important it is. And you know, comparing RAs with property investments is a whole other discussion altogether that we can have as well. But planning for that retirement, in that example, there's no difference. So the main factors to consider when you are planning for that retirement should be the following. Where would you ideally like to retire? We talked about it. Do you want to go at the coast? Is it in different countries than overseas? Do you want to retire where you're close to the kids and the grandkids and the family? Or are you going to be in the city where the family and friends are? Those are the decisions that you need to make, ladies and gentlemen. We are posing the questions, therefore you need to think about that. Financially preparedness. Will your pension or retirement annuity or whatever you've made provision for, will it be enough for the time that you are going to retire? How dependent would you be on your children financially? And ladies and gentlemen, although no one of us wants to admit it or think about it, that is unfortunately something that we see every day. More and more people who haven't started early enough in their life, especially on where they would like to retire. Now, it's much easier for a child, and I take myself as an example as well. My parents had the same problem. My parents did not plan for their retirement as they should. But also, you know, these sort of conversations weren't available. Retirement estates weren't available, you know, back in the 50s or the 60s. It was old age homes. It was, are you going back to your roots? Are you from a traditional side going back and going to retire back home? What was the situation? You know, so times have changed. But how financially prepared are you? How dependent are you going to be? Will you have sufficient financial provision for that unforeseen things? So part and parcel with getting older is you are probably going to have a bit more doctor's visits. You are going to have a bit more or be a bit more immobile. You might have, you know, if you are lucky enough and you just gradually get older, and with getting older, you are gradually becoming a bit more immobile, then you are extremely lucky. What happens to you if your life changes in your 50s due to a car accident, a stroke, a heart attack, whatever the case might be? What happens then? How prepared are you then for those situations, financially as well as property related? So deciding to secure retirement property when you're 45, 55, 65, what would the potential cost saving be? So if you're 45 right now and you make the decision to buy a property in a retirement estate so that it is paid off by the time that you are 65, and you pay 2 million rand for the property right now, what is that property going to cost you if you decide not to buy now, but you decide to buy 10 years later? Firstly, you need to hope there's availability. Secondly, you need to think about what the cost increase is going to be in 10 years now. Never mind talking about when you are already at retirement age, and then you think about, okay, let's think about a retirement estate. This big house is getting too big for us. The stairs is not working for me anymore. The garden is too big. The pool is too big. The kids are out of the house. Nobody's utilizing it anymore. The cleaner is costing me thousands every month. The garden services, all those things, A, B, C, D, they all add up. Now, okay, let's look at a retirement property. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. All right. Type of retirement property, so things that you need to think of. All right. Size of the property, 1, 2, 3, whatever bedroom it might be. We can talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. Why should I go for a 3-bedroom? I'm retiring. There's a lot of, everybody is downscaling. The question will be, where are you going to be downscaling from? Are you going to be downscaling from that 5-bedroom big house? Then you're not going to be downscaling from a big 5-bedroom necessarily to a 1 or a 2-bedroom. No, you are going to move in a lot earlier. You're going to move in a much younger age into a retirement estate. So you're going to require something still bigger. But the beauty of it is then you can migrate within the estate when the time comes when you don't want that big 3-bedroom. You can migrate to something smaller again. Resales are there. Opportunities are there. Easy to clean, maintain, lock up and go. That's what you want with your retirement. Do you want a private garden? Don't you want a garden? Would you be happy with an apartment unit when you are much older? So maybe you think about, let me at least secure an apartment unit in a retirement estate. Not that I'm thinking about moving into an apartment unit at all maybe in my life, but what happens to that unforeseen circumstance? What happens when I get to 70 or 75 and I may be alone and I want to move in? That is the elements that you need to think of, all those things. Garages, is it a need or is it not a need? Do I need 2 garages when I retire? Or will 1 garage be sufficient? Do I need garages at all? Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you come and visit us there at Celebration Retirement Estate, and you'll see how beautifully we've made up some of our garages into reception areas, you'll think it's part of the house. But that extra garage actually puts an additional price component to the bottom line. So if you don't need a double garage, opt for the unit with a single garage. All right, so think about those things as well. Required lifestyle amenities, peace of mind retirement, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about. If I live in a retirement estate, I want everything to be there. All right, so I want to cater for an active lifestyle. I want to go and walk with my dog. I want to go and walk and watch some bird life. I want to be active. I want to meet people there and be active. A central lifestyle facility, getting together with that community, the new friends you're going to be making. Maybe your friends are moving in there with you as well, taking over the estate altogether. Great security and efficient emergency assistance, and then on-site care facilitation, very important. It's that inevitable factor, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to buy something, you don't want to buy on a golf course, you don't want to buy into a security golf estate, and then there's only a putting green there. You want to buy into a security golf estate because there's a nice 19th hole clubhouse and there's an 18-hole green, and you enjoy golfing. That is why you are buying in there. So should your environment adapt or change when your needs start changing? Obvious answer, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it should. All right. Now, if we do a quick illustration for you here on typical needs and aspirations during the time of your life and how your environment should change in order, and how it normally changes, how your needs are changing. So during your startup age, 19 to 25, the tertiary side, you're focused a lot on friends, relationships, love blooms, all those type of things. Your needs and aspirations typically are student accommodation. You might have student accommodation because you're going to study somewhere, payments for your studies or a bursary, affordable car, means of transport, all those type of things. After that, between the ages of 25 and 35, you're starting to focus a bit more on family, on more stable relationships, on a career. So your needs and your aspirations changes. You become a young professional. You want to start up a family maybe. So now you need a bit of a bigger family home. You're moving from student accommodation, starting your career, having an aspiration to move into something a bit bigger, at a more convenient location, maybe that suits you close to your job, or your working environment or whatever, or the kids for school, safety, lifestyle, entertainment. Those type of things are more important for you at that age of time. 35 to 50, here you are working on your financial growth. This is the time when most people are positioning themselves for financial stability going into the further future, building that independence, family wellness and growth. Help raise your kids, be there for them, be that father figure, and preferably you want to do that in a comfortable, secure lifestyle environment as well, as your needs are changing. 50 to 65, here the focus is more on wellness, spiritual, having worn the t-shirts, got all the badges. Now you're going into that more stable section of your life. So celebrating your family goals, seeing the kids graduate, having grandkids, spending time with the family, sharing that accomplishments, downscaling your debt. So by that time, you should definitely start downscaling on the debt that you've got. Whether it is property, whether it is cars, whether it is toys, whether it is whatever the case may be, you're downscaling on your debt. You're assisting your kids with their startup and their independence. So they are going more to the 19 and 25 age group and above. And then the last one, how your environment should change or adapt as your needs change, is 65 plus. So that's when you want to look at quality retirement. As I said, it could be a much earlier. It could be from the 50 range already. But how many people can retire at the age of 50 and still live to 80, and don't have a worry of a day? So quality retirement and independence. So you want to have financial freedom. You want that quality family time with your grandkids. Enjoy the traveling. So locality is very important. How far do you need to travel, to get onto an airplane? You want to have your debt paid up by that time. So we talked about it. You want your property to be paid up, your car to be paid up, all those big expenses that you were busy with throughout your life cycle, and as your needs change, you want that paid off. So you want a minimal low debt level so that you can live quality life from your pension, your property incomes, whatever income there might be. You want to have very little financial commitment. All right. So getting older is inevitable. So ensure that the estate you choose offers you the needs that you need when you're getting older. The relevant amenities, it's very important. Being close to hospitals, clinics, and all those type of things when you're getting older is not enough. Don't say, all right, I'm going to move in there because the hospital is just a kilometer down the road. That hospital has got no affiliation with you in that estate whatsoever. If that hospital can't help you, living next to it makes no difference. All right. So an on-site private care facility, being able to cater for each and every resident there. It doesn't matter how big the frail care facility is. We've got a 30-bed frail care facility on Celebration, for argument's sake, but they are appointed for Celebration. Their first priority is the residents of Celebration, so they can cater for 100 people inside Celebration, the comfort of their own home if they needed to. So that's very important. We spoke about the curveballs that life throws at you, that unexpected things. How have you mitigated for it? How have you planned for it? When have you started to plan for that unforeseen event? In your 20s, your 30s? Are you living a bit more on the edge and see, I'll deal with it as it gets there? Whose problem is it going to be then? Yours, your children, your wife, your husband? So by a quick comparison, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost done. By a quick comparison, I want to sum everything up and bring all the ropes together again. Excuse me. All right. So normal residential versus retirement estates. A quick comparison. So normal residential, you've got a busy environment, typical peak time traffic. It's the working class, it's the families that's living there, there's kids, different ages, different sort of lifestyles. In the retirement estate, it's peaceful. It's a quiet environment. There's many units in the estate. Remember, I did the comparison and the example for you with the 500 odd units. But you don't have that same sort of congestion. You don't have that same sort of noise levels. You don't have that same sort of frustrations, or whatever you want to try and call it, because there's a maximum of 2 people in the unit. On-site facilities cater for young adults, families. It's generally nothing exceptional. So why I say it's generally nothing exceptional, because every lifestyle estate almost focuses on the same things. Some of our lifestyle estates, we incorporate something, even a bit extra. So you've got jogging trails there, and you've got soccer fields, and you've got better lifestyle amenities. But most normal lifestyle estates cater for the family aspect, to have a bit of a clubhouse there. There's a central facility where you can go for a braai. There's a swimming pool, there's jungle gyms, there's all the basic things. All right. In the retirement estate, your needs have changed. You've moved away from those elements of the family aspect. You want the facilities catering for you and going forward. So that's where you want that community gathering. You want that lifestyle center. You want that restaurant, the coffee shop, the hair and beauty salon, the place where you can get together, the indoor heated swimming pool instead of an outdoor cold pool. You want that library facility. A lot of people love reading. Everybody still loves reading, I'm sure. So you want those sort of amenities that caters for you. Back to the normal residential, the units are not retirement friendly. So it means that if you are in a wheelchair for some other reason, you probably are going to struggle to get in and out of your unit. You're going to struggle to get up the stairs to go to your bedroom. The units don't have elevators when there are multiple units, apartment block buildings. It's not retirement friendly. On the retirement side, all single-story units. The apartments all have elevators that goes up to the units. There's backup generation. Load shedding is yet to stay, so backup generation is very important. Make sure you've got that. But everything is wheelchair friendly. Everything is on the right gradient. There's no steps whatsoever. You will be able to get in and out of your house no matter what sort of physical condition you are effectively in. There's a limited generational value to a normal development. Supply and demand is normally nothing too special. You either buy the property for investment and you sell it again at one point, take a bit of profit, or you effectively buy the property and maybe it's with the intention that your kids live in it one day, but there's a limited generational value to it. Retirement property, it's the only property of its kind, ladies and gentlemen, that can be used as an investment. You can use it for your own use later on, or maybe first for your parents, maybe for a family member that requires something like that. Then you can use it yourself. Your kids can inherit it when you pass away, or when you decide that you're moving to something entirely different. And the grandkids. And so it's a generational thing. It never needs to leave the family cycle ever. Normal residential, it's normally a lower market resale value due to the numerous options available. So we talked about that supply and demand. It's a very weak demand with the greatest supply. And when you say weak demand, I don't mean because there's not a lot of people looking for security complexes, but there's just so many of them available out there that people are spoiled for choice. So your turnover of potential tenant, if you bought it for investment, a lot more, a lot higher. Very niche market on the retirement side. So it's very product focused, exclusive market, strong demand, limited supply, that future value, that future availability, those things that we talk about. You need to think about that. The resident queries are handled through external managing agents. Now, this is something that you don't even think about. You don't ask that question to your sales agent when you go and have a look at a property that you're potentially interested in buying. You don't ask your agent that and say, listen, when I've got a problem or when something happens, what is the procedures? How are things handled? So in your normal residential, the queries are handled through your external managing agent. They are not based on site. There's no central facility or a central reception where you can go to and log a query or pick up a phone and phone somebody and say, I've got an emergency, or press a button and somebody will come and assist you. You don't have that. It's quite standard. On the retirement side, there's a central reception in the lifestyle center. They are there for the residents. They ensure that the residents always have a direct point of communication or assistance. And then you've got all the other avenues as well. So if reception is closed and it's after hours or whatever, you've still got assistance available by the press of a button for that matter. And then excellent on-site security with the patrolling guards. Obviously, when it's a security lifestyle estate, there should be a 24-hour security facility there. But then we go one step further on the retirement side and we say there's extra security. So apart from the biometrics, the patrolling guards that you've got the panic and emergency button assistant, which is linked to medical facilitation as well as security facilitation. You've got the internal landline communication system. So everything is interconnected. You can pick up the phone, you can phone somebody, security or whatever the case might be, and everything is made so much easier. So ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end. I would like to briefly and quickly show you a short video about most that we've spoken about right now. Sit back, relax, have a look. We've got 2 more slides to go through, and then we will finish up. Ladies and gentlemen, so we've come to the end. I hope it's been very insightful. You're welcome to start posting some of your questions that you've got so long. If there's any questions that you would like me to answer on a more open platform, otherwise we will be posting the link for you just now and after the webinar so that you can click on that and you can choose whether you want to do a digital presentation. So you don't have to come through to the site. We can do a great digital presentation for you like we are doing right now, and we can have a nice open discussion. Or you can opt the option to meet with us on site, come and have a look. But if you want to do a digital first and the second round come through and have a look at the development and then choose your unit and have a look through our show houses, we've got 5 show houses there. You're welcome to do so as well. So from celebration side and the development side, the offer here is that when you sign for any unit at Celebration Retirement Estate, remember you're buying it from the developer. So all costs are included. Your legal fees, transfer fees, costs, registration, everything is all inclusive in the price. The price you see is the price you pay. For the investors, there are fully tenanted investment units that are available. And if you don't like any of the units that are already tenanted, we are under construction currently with the new phase of the second village, as we call it, at Celebration, where there will be more opportunities coming up, where we will then secure a tenant for you in advance before the unit takes occupation and registers. And there's a lot more different options available as well. There's a 5% discount on some of the selective units. So ladies and gentlemen, when we do the follow-up meeting with you, either digital or on site, we will discuss with you the options that does qualify for the 5% discount. So it is completed units. It's units that might have a tenant in already, or it's units that we've developed and it's completed and hasn't been sold yet. Those units have got a very, very big price advantage that you can capitalize on. There are also units that you can choose your own finishes. So specifically the units that are under construction and in the phases to come, you can still choose your own finishes. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be very much time dependent. Although a unit is under construction and might only be ready in 3 or 4 months from now, if we wait too long, finishes will already be chosen and will already be ordered and cannot be changed at that point of time. So we do have a nice choice of finishes. You will see that it's very high grade. With all the show houses shows the different options as well. So there is the opportunity, depending on the unit that you choose, that you will be able to choose your own finishes. Finance are available through all of the major banks. We've got our own in-house financing team. So we will assist you. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, about going and standing in the queues and risking yourself with COVID and all those type of things. We will do everything on your behalf. We've got a good relationship with all the major banks. The banks like financing us. So we will do that on your behalf. And if you decide to buy now and occupy later, we then offer you a very much streamlined retirement tenant management solution. So we offer all of our investors management, tenant management services, but not everybody can offer you a retirement tenant management solution because you're dealing with a different profile, you're dealing with a different person, but still your vetting is still done on the same way. Your tenant must still be able to afford it, either themselves or the kids that are renting it for them. There will be a proper vetting process, so don't worry about that. And it all comes at a low monthly management fee. There's no upfront cost, there's no commissions payable, there's no startup fees. We offer that service for you for free. And when we do find you a tenant and start managing it for you, only then you start paying a monthly management fee of 9% per month, including VAT. All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look if somebody has a question. Right, Mr. Albert, why would I rather buy than rent if available? Okay, so at the end of the day, it comes back to a personal choice as well. You know, whether you want to buy or whether you want to rent. But I think throughout the presentation, you've seen that an obvious choice, an obvious advantage is there when it comes to buying. It's a long-term thing. And I think for most people, it's that obvious thing, you know, I don't want to rent if I can buy, because then I'm paying off somebody else's bond and those type of things. And that's what we like because we're investors. So, and we need tenants obviously out there. But when you are buying, you've got that option, even in the future. Let's say let me give you an example. So let's say you buy now, you move into a unit, you live there for 5 years or for how many years? Let's say 5 years you live there. And then your needs start changing. You do not want to move out of the estate again, but you would like to migrate to something different inside the estate. Or let's say maybe your health condition changes to such a degree that you need to move to the frail care. Then you've got that property, you've got that asset that grew in value for the past 5 years. And you can then sell that property or rent out that property and have that proceeds or that income or the profits that you're making from that help you to subsidize for the costs that you will be incurring from the frail care side. So it's important to know that the frail care, although it's on site, it's not subsidizing, the levies aren't subsidizing anything towards the frail care. So you're not paying an increased levy because there's a frail care or anything like that. You pay as you use, all right, and as required. All right, so let's have a look. See, Kate says, I really only want to know the good and the bad of life rights versus sectional title pertinently, and if I choose life rights, what's the percentage which is applied? So we will be able to, I think, Kate, the best in that, I will answer it in short, but in best case, that's a longer discussion. So please do inquire, click on the link, send us through your inquiry, let us make an appointment with you. We can do it digitally to discuss this, or even telephonically. It doesn't matter. But in short, we are sectional title, full ownership. So there is no percentage from our side that goes back to the developer. You're not buying something for R1 million now, and when you die, you get the R1 million minus expenses back. You will be able, this goes into your estate, you would be able to sell it at a profit. And there are so many different, I'm just using one example, but with the life rights schemes, there are a lot of different ways that they structure the transaction. So in our case, there's no percentage type of thing involved. All right, so why is the cost per square meter so high relative to other properties with higher quality finishes, while the quality of finishes at your estate is tiled more than lower level? Okay, I'm not sure, Anonymous, I'm not sure exactly what the question is, but let's cover the first section at the top in terms of the rate per square. So once again, you need to compare apples with apples. So if you want to buy into an estate, and the level of finishes, the quality of finishes in Celebration, for argument's sake, and Waterkloof, which we are currently busy, is extremely high. It's good quality finishes that's in there, and you as an individual purchaser can also do a few changes. You can also say, right, if we decided to tile the kitchen only halfway, you can opt to have it tiled to the top. But your rate per square comes back to what is on offer. You can't expect necessarily to pay the same sort of rate per square on the selling price when buying into a normal security estate where there's no special attractions, features, amenities, no matter how good the finishes might be. All right, remember, everything is bought in bulk. So as a developer or as anybody who's building, they can get a much better discount on buying in bulk. So finishes is not the thing that only determines your rate per square. There's a lot more things that determine the rate per square. But compare apples with apples. So buy into a normal lifestyle estate where there's a clubhouse and a swimming pool and a jungle gym and so forth, your rate per square will be less than what it's going to be buying into a golf estate or buying into a retirement estate where there's a lot more things on offer. Compare apples with apples always. All right, from Carol, let's see. So Carol says, these retirement properties starts from how much? Is there a reservation fee? If interested, how much is it? Okay, so in a nutshell, Carol, to answer that for you, very straightforward. Properties range anything from 990,000 on a one-bedroom unit all the way to over R4 million for a big 3-bedroomed type of property. There's a lot of factors that plays a role there. So are you buying an existing property with us where you qualify for a bit of a discount? Excuse me. Are you buying an apartment unit? Are you buying in the first phase now in the new village? Do you prefer a unit in the 4th phase only? But those are all the type of things that we will discuss with you as soon as you inquire or send us through your requirement. We need to ask you a couple of questions as well. Price is relative, but we need to find out a bit more from you. And when it comes to the construction, just by the way, so although we are under construction with the 2nd village, our full construction program is scheduled for end of the year. So by the end of the year, no more construction will be going on the site. And even if you move into the development in a phase where there is still construction carrying on, we've been in this industry for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. We make it as convenient as possible, and we really do. All right, so let's see. There's another question. How does the future look alike for retirement villages? What is the new ideas for retirement housing overseas and here in South Africa? Excuse me. So if you go and look at, if we take the overseas element, you'll know that in the UK and Europe and those type of things, they are, first of all, they take a lot better care of their retired population with grants and support and all those type of things than what South Africa will ever do. But taking that into consideration, the future for retirement villages or estates I can tell you with honesty, the demand will always outweigh the supply, always, purely because of the fact it's easy. And if you go to Natal, and if there's a lot of people, if there's people from Natal on the webinar, I've been there, I've had a look there. We were looking at doing a retirement estate there in Umhlanga. I did a lot of research in there, and it's easy for anybody in a big estate to go and say, right, this section inside the estate we are going to cordon off, and it's going to be for over 50s only. That's very easy to do. It's also very easy to develop a security complex and say we only allow over 50s to live here. But what is the purpose of it if you cannot construct the necessary facilities that you want on there? If you don't have a frail care, if you don't have all of those additional things that I mentioned to you a bit earlier in the webinar, what is the purpose if you don't have that, calling it a retirement estate? So coming back to that, for developers, there's a lot of challenges going into the future, developing proper retirement estates with the necessary facilities, with the necessary amenities, and doing it the right way, because scale advantage is the biggest thing. We cannot develop and give you what you saw in the video. We cannot give that to you if the development is only 100 units big. It's going to be too expensive. It's going to be entirely unaffordable, even going into the future. So very good question, and I would like to discuss it further with you if you do have excuse me, any questions with regard to that. Right, from Natasha. Excellent presentation. Thank you very much, Natasha. Can we look forward to the next one where you explain sectional title versus life rights? Yes, we will be touching on that a bit further in the future, but don't wait for that presentation. It's a much easier discussion. Give us an inquiry. We can give you a ring. We can discuss it telephonically. We can do it digitally. We can do it on site. So very important, ladies and gentlemen. There's so many aspects. Inquire so that we can assist you. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that's all the questions for the evening to be discussed on the platform. Thank you very much for attending the webinar. Thank you very much, and I hope it's been insightful, and I hope that we will be talking to a lot of you close in the future going forward. This recording will be available as well early next week, and we will send it out to everybody who wasn't able to attend, and everybody who attended the webinar. Please share it. It will be available on our YouTube channel as well, under retirenow.co.za's YouTube channel. But overall, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing some familiar names on the next webinar as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.